Thank you everybody for showing up this evening. Like we were talking about here, I know the weather and probably any number of other things has been crazy lately. But I'm glad you could make it out, and we will run through some things here that we have going on, touch on some things that we did last month, a couple of things that we have going on next month, and then I will turn it over to our guest speaker at the end. Our leadership team, we have President Francis Kavanaugh, who is with us this evening. Vice President Angela Bosma, who is not with us this evening. I am Dr. Kelly Jernigan, and my fellow faculty advisor, Dr. Kim Rush, is not with us. They're usually here, but they're under the weather, so they'll be back next month. All right, so a little bit of conversation, though we were already chit-chatting at the beginning. So my ex-mother-in-law is born and bred from Dublin, Ireland. So St. Patrick's Day is huge. My daughter, is super excited about being part Irish. And so I was wondering, did you wear green today? I
No.
did. I'm still sporting my green sweater.
I'm still wearing.
My hair's green. So.
I didn't want my kids to pinch me.
Right. Perfect opportunity.
My wife told me to put it on this morning, but I couldn't find anything, so I kept moving.
Right. Just don't let them catch you. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's your team for March Madness?
VCU.
Okay. All right.
You know?
Solid choice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know last year our office, they did one, and I just randomly picked.
Got you.
So I
don't know much about sports.
I don't follow basketball a whole lot. I am definitely a baseball, football sort of person.
Yes.
And when I put this question in the presentation, I had to look and see if either of my teams were even in the tournament, and they're not. So
Right.
if I can't go for my Hokies and I can't go for my Tigers, then I'm out. Spring cleaning. Do we all start that now? Do we start that later? Do we not do spring cleaning?
They do it like in batches.
It's been all year long.
Yeah.
Right. Whenever anybody says something about spring cleaning, I'm like, wait, are we not supposed to do this all the time? Okay. Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one that's doing it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to some of our news here. We have been nominated for an award as the Student Organization Chapter of the Year. So last year we won the award as Outstanding New Student Organization of the Year because we were less than a year old. So this year we are in the running with all of the other groups that have been around for a while for Chapter of the Year. I have not heard about the results for that. I'm thinking maybe sometime in April we will hear back. So certainly when we do, we will let you guys know. But here's hoping. All right. Right now we are doing a photography contest with the photography club. I think they might have come on board a little bit late, so we're either doing it with them or without them, but that's okay. We did this back in October and had a whole bunch of people participate. So on Facebook and in the emails and in the newsletter that I sent out, you can find the list of themes for each day from the 15th to the 29th. Today's is green because, St. Patrick's Day. So if you are interested, take a picture for each theme. You can either post them on Facebook or send them to our club email. The address is on here. There is a prize. We will choose a winner from the Kindness Club and also from the Photography Club if they send their pictures over to me. So there will be a winner and you will get a prize in the mail if you win, if one of your photos is chosen. So last time I think we ended up actually giving out 3 prizes. So, have a little bit of fun with it. And it's interesting to see what some of the themes mean to people. the first theme on the 15th was just kindness, which is fitting, of course. And Dr. Rush posted a picture of her oldest son helping her youngest son to learn how to walk. Um, so all the themes will touch us differently or make us think about a picture, you know, that other people might not have. Mine for today for green was a picture that I took at Claude Monet's gardens. So he had painted the gardens, the water lilies, and all of that. I went there a couple of years ago, and everything is green. So that was my picture for today. This is another thing we did last year, and I don't remember what month. We sponsored a book for the APUS Reads Book Club. Not only did we sponsor it, Dr. Rush actually chose this book and recommended it to the book club. So it is Eileen Garvin's The Music of Bees. So if you can grab a copy of it at the library, at a bookstore, however you want to do it, maybe even online. I'm not sure if it's an audio book, but it doesn't hurt to check. Give it a read and then join everybody at their meeting on March 31st at 8 p.m. I don't have the link yet, but I will send that out once I do. Last year, there were just as many Kindness Club members at the meeting for the book we sponsored as there were book club members. So that was really cool to have a great turnout. Hopefully, we can do that again. This time it's going to be really cool though, because not only did we choose this book to sponsor, and then of course we're sponsoring it, the book club has Eileen Garvin actually coming to talk at their meeting on the 31st of March. So we'll get some insight from the author herself about why she approached the stories the way that she did. It's a story about unlikely friends coming together, growth, healing, sort of things like that. Last year, we sponsored Neil Gaiman's, what was it? The Lake at the End of the Lane, I think. The Ocean at the End of the Lane, the Ocean at the End of the Lane, which has nothing to do with kindness. I just happen to like Neil Gaiman. So this time it does fit better. So at the end of the meeting, if they ask any of us, how does this tie into kindness? We would potentially have an answer that we did not last time. So far this year in 2026, we have been having monthly coffee breaks, and it's just a chance for people to come together at a time that isn't this monthly meeting because we know everybody is everywhere. It can be hard to pick a day and a time that works for everybody. It's just never going to happen. We have 130 some members, I think, at this point. So we're trying some different times for people to come together. So on Sunday, March 22nd at 8 p.m., Dr. Rush is going to be leading this coffee break. There's no agenda. It's literally just join the Zoom meeting and have a chit chat. Again, I will send out the link soon for that. I think she's already posted it on Facebook, but we will send it out again in the email for people who are not on Facebook. All right, a little bit of news for next month. We are going to be doing something for Earth Day, which is April 22nd, and we're just going to focus on environmental kindness. Kindness isn't just about what you're doing for someone, it can be what you're doing for everyone. The environment affects all of us. So last year, we challenged people to pick a particular thing to change, like a particular habit to get better about. So some people had said that they would try to be more aware of turning lights off when they left a room. I think I had said that I would pick up trash. If I'm out walking down the street or the sidewalk or whatever, and I see something, pick it up and throw it away. So it can be little things. There can be big things if you have that opportunity. So I believe that week of Earth Day, Dr. Rush is going to be posting some ideas on social media about different things that you could do, different acts of kindness that focus on the environment. So we're going to be doing that next month. And our next month's meeting, these things come up real fast. So I like to go ahead and put the date and everything in here. Our next month's meeting is, as always, on the third Tuesday of the month, which will be April 21st at 8 p.m. And we're going to have a speaker from Career Services. I did not know until last year when Stacy Robinson came and talked to us about all the different things that are available to our students, all the different services, and they can get resumes reviewed, help with interviews, mock interviews, all kinds of things that I simply did not know existed. And I'd already been here for 16 years. So we do want to have her come and talk with us again next month. As some people are preparing to graduate, then career services could be particularly helpful at this point in time. Oh, and that is all of our news. So I am going to turn it over to our guest speaker, Chuck. Is it Capel?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Chuck Capel from Hope for Learning. He is going to chat with us. Chuck, do you have a presentation you need or want to share?
No, just gonna talk with you.
Okay, perfect. Well, then I will.
I just got this I just got notified about a couple of hours ago.
I know we had a quick change there, so sorry.
Yeah, but
But okay, well, I will turn it over to you then.
Yeah, I didn't really need a presentation. Yeah, but you got my name right. Most folks,
Awesome.
you'd be
Perfect.
surprised how many folks can't pronounce my last name. You thought I had about 15 different letters in it or something, but most folks can't get it right. Hello, Yasmin. I see you here.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Yeah. So, what is it that you guys would like to know? You'd like to know more about my organization?
Yes, please. That would be great.
Okay, great. Well, Hope for Learning, I founded the organization in 2020, right in the heart of the pandemic. Matter of fact, the month that the state shut everybody down, which was like in March of 2020, where that was when, everything was closed except for the grocery stores and the hospitals. And so that was when I started to put everything together and found this organization, Hope for Learning. We started out with a mission of literacy and grade level reading. And we started out at K through 12. But upon realizing how many schools there are in Metro Richmond and in Chesterfield County and Henrico, it was just no way humanly possible that a young new organization could, make a dent in all of that. So we decided to drop it down to K through 5, kindergarten through 5th grade, which is what I wanted to do in the beginning. Anyway, we wanted to work with the little kids. So we started out literacy and grade level reading, and we provided books, school supplies. We sent volunteers to the schools to participate in the lunch buddy program, the reading corner programs, and stuff like that. And about a year and a half after that, I realized that we weren't doing enough. And we weren't doing as much as we could do, but we weren't doing as much as we wanted to do. Thought about it, and after working for about a year and a half with the social workers in the schools, counselors, site coordinators with communities and schools, and just working with them and visiting to the schools and stuff like that, we realized that I forgot to mention also that we work with K through 5, but we only worked with Title I schools, K through 5 in Metro Richmond. And a Title I school is a school where at least 47% of the population falls below the poverty level. So we wanted to work with the underserved kids, the kids and families who live in marginalized communities and that were dealing and suffering with poverty. And so after working with the schools and everything, we determined that there's a certain element that's attached to Title I elementary school kids. And those components are food insecurity, basic need, and clothing. And we realized after talking with the counselors so much that, and the site coordinators, everybody had the same thing to say. Everybody spoke about the same thing. And they all said that when a child comes to school, if they're hungry, if their bellies are empty, they're not going to learn, you know. And I thought about it and I said, you know, we're grown people, we're adults, you know, and then during the course of a day, if we get to working all day and get sidetracked and we haven't eaten, you know, and you start to get a little hungry, you start to get a little distracted, you know, a little disgruntled sometimes and just not focused. And so I'm saying if a child between the ages of 6 and 12 is dealing with that situation on a daily basis, it's definitely going to be hard for them to learn. So we decided to take a holistic approach to what we were doing, and we supplemented our literacy and grade level reading with providing food, basic need, clothing, stuff like that. And we decided to take a holistic approach so that we would protect and support and advocate for the whole child, not just reading, but with the whole child. And so we figured that we could remove those distractions, again, which is food and security, basic need and clothing. If we could remove those distractions, then the only thing that the child would have to focus on now is learning. It gives them a level playing field. And so we started doing those things like that and trying to make an impact that way. And we started a program called Resource 180 as a result of that. Resource 180 stipulates 180 days or 6 months. And what we did with the Resource 180 program, we provided that holistic approach and we combined it with literacy and grade level reading. And we talked to the counselors at the schools and we said, do you have any child in your school who is dealing with an unusual or an enormous hardship? And they told us every school we went to that we work with, we partner with, said the same thing. So we have a lot of families like that. We have a lot of kids like that. And so what they would do, they would assign us families. They would assign us families of the kids who were in that school who were going through enormous hardship. And we would take on as many families as we could provide with you know, within our budget. And for that 180, that's 180 days, what we would do, we would take care of those families 6 months at a time. It started out as a 6-month program. We were going to do 6 months. And then when we got into it, we saw the need, then another counselor in one of the schools we worked with made a profound statement. And she said, you know, Chuck, when school closes after each semester, when school closes, the need doesn't stop. So we decided to take that Resource 180 program and carry it year round. And so we would work with all the schools that we partner with. We partner with 6 schools on an ongoing basis, continuously every semester. We have 2 additional schools in the city of Richmond that we work with primarily during the summer months, because those 2 schools, 2 of the schools that go to school year round. And so we take care of those families. And then we start to see some difference in the student, because now, not only are we providing support at the school where they go to, where they get a chance to come in and get a little snacks during the break time, and they have food in the afternoon in the pantry. When parents come pick them up, they can take food home with them. We bring clothes to the school. Some schools all schools have different needs. Some schools say we need more supplies. Some schools say we need underwear. You know, some schools say we need some coats. It's the wintertime. So we try to provide the schools what they need. So even though our mission is contained to a certain number of things, we have an approach, a holistic approach, that we're going to do whatever we need to do in those schools to provide for those kids, whatever need they have. And so we started doing that. And we had families who were really going through some hardship, things that we never knew about, things we never even imagined that happened, you know, right here in North America. We had one family who has a grandmother who's taking care of 4 kids. The youngest kid is this little boy and 3 girls. The little boy didn't even have a pair of shoes at all. The only thing he owned was a pair of bedroom shoes. The little girl, the smallest girl of the 3 girls, was sexually assaulted by a family member. We provided support with them. We provided them with everything inside the resource-oriented program. We also purchased an upright freezer so they could contain a large volume of food, so they would have stuff continually. We took care of another family. It was a grandmother again who was taking care of 6 kids this time. 3 kids from a daughter, 3 kids from a son. The kids she had in her custody that belonged to her son, she was taking care of them because the mother was deceased and the father was in jail. And the father was in jail because he killed the mother. And so these are the types of things we do. We took care of one family, a young family who had 10 kids, 10 children in 2024, 10 kids. She wasn't working. Her husband was a part-time electrician, so he wasn't working full-time. And so these are the types of things we did with the program. And as time went on, we started a project called From Hunger to Hope. From Hunger to Hope. And that program focused solely on feeding kids, feeding schools. We have a new program now called the Uplift Initiative, which we're really excited about. I started the Uplift Initiative back in 2024, the late part of 2024. And we couldn't get it off the ground because we took that proposal and we presented it to Chesterfield County. And they said they didn't have any funds to run the program. So we tried all avenues. We couldn't get that to go. And then, so what we did, I put it on hold. So I said, well, we can't find anybody to support this program. We really don't have the funds right now to do it on our own. We have support. We have donors. We have donors who are monthly donors. We have some one-time donors, or every now and then donors. We get some sponsorship for some of our events, but we didn't have enough support to run the program, so I put it on hold. And then so last year in September, I decided to bring the program out again, and we were going to really struggle for it, really fight for it, to see if we get support. And what the Uplift Initiative is, it's an early grade mentoring program. Now, when you think about mentoring, you typically speak about adolescents and teenagers. Is what is usually, when you say mentoring, that's what you're basically talking about. But for some odd reason, nobody ever thought that it was a good idea to mentor early learners, kids who are pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade. And so I thought that, with us doing this holistic approach to how we approach this philanthropy that we're doing, how we approach charity, is that with this holistic approach, I said, well, maybe I should try this again, because I feel like that you shouldn't have to wait till a child gets a teenager or adolescent to try to curb their enthusiasm. You know what I mean? You shouldn't wait till they get that age before you try to correct what's wrong. Because typically what's wrong at the adolescent and teenage years is what was wrong the whole entire time they were in school from first grade to fifth grade. Because we feel like a child is mostly encouraged and mostly enthused and mostly directed from the formative years, when they're first born, when they get the first chance to identify with the sound, sight, the first get used to the sight of their parents, the sound of their parents' voices, the tone of their parents' voices, whether they live in a warm environment, home, or volatile home, whether there's a lot of love and humanity in the home, or whether there's a lot of arguing, fighting, cursing, and that type of thing. A child doesn't go to school and typically learn how to be a bully after they get to school. They develop some of those traits and those habits in their early years at home. And so when they go to school, if you let them go through first grade through fifth grade, trouble from their environment at home or from whatever they're getting it from, and you don't try to fix it, when they get into the adolescence and teenage years, it may be too late. That's why we have what we call the third grade reading level, because the third grade reading level is not just a phrase or a statement. It's an act. It's not a verb. It's a noun. It's an actual thing. A third grade reading level means if a child doesn't learn by the third grade, chances are they're not going to learn how to read, because they go into the third grade and fourth grade level. The expansion of the volume of what they need to learn in the fourth grade is so far advanced from the third grade that if they don't learn by the third grade, they won't know it by the fourth grade. And so same thing applies to this mentoring piece. If you don't correct what's wrong with a child at the early age, you're going to have a hard time trying to play catch up in the adolescence years. And so we're really excited about that, because we have our spring charity luncheon that's taking place this weekend, Saturday, in Short Pump at the Hilton Hotel, where we're raising money for the Uplift Initiative program, because we're trying to get it into the schools. And the issue with that is that, I don't know, I know Yasmin may know a lot about it because she deals with also what we deal with, but there's a lot of bureaucracy in the schools, a lot of bureaucracy, and sometimes there's a lot of pushback, there's a lot of hesitance, there's a lot of egos in place. And so sometimes when we run into these things, it's a sad situation, because, at the end of the day, we all have the same goal. We're there to uplift kids, to promote them, raise them up, to advocate for them. We're all in the same situation. So when a school has pushback and that bureaucracy that's taking place, the only person that's being hurt by that is the children. And so it's not easy to get that program inside the school right now, because people just not, I don't know if I would say advancing their thinking, but sometimes you run into situations and circumstances where people don't have to deal with something for a while, then they're reluctant to deal with it now because it's a new thing. They don't like to try out new things. But so we're trying to partner with an organization called Mentor Virginia, because that's what they do on a normal basis. And we're trying to partner with them so they can provide us with the volunteers, the mentors, and then we can orchestrate it through the schools. And the thing with us, my organization, Hope for Learning, is we don't have to get the glory. We don't have to be the heroes in this. We want to send these mentors into the school and then allow the schools to take total control over it. Let them delegate the program, how they want to do it, to however many kids they want to give it to, and delegate it to what staff members and on staff that they want to run and handle it, and do it how they want to do it. They can do it 30 minutes, they can do an hour, they can do it once a week, they can do it twice a week. We don't really care how you do it. We just want to get it in the schools. And so that's another part of what we do, because again, we take a holistic approach to the kids, and we want to make sure that they have a successful run at being successful, and have a successful run at learning. And again, if you have those distractions, because if you don't have food, you're going to be distracted. When you talk about clothes, kids can be the most cruel people in the world to other kids, and so who's going to bully those kids? Kids who don't. Now, a Title I school doesn't have a 100% of their population that falls below the poverty level. Again, it only has to be 47%. So some of those kids in those Title I schools come from 2-parent homes. They have everything they need. They don't worry about eating, stuff like that. And so when the kids go to school with soiled clothes, dirty clothes, old torn sneakers, they're gonna get picked on. We had one school in Chesterfield County. They said that every day when the kids come to school, they take the clothes off the kid and they wash them in the washing machine and dry it and put them back on. A lot of schools said we have a school in Chesterfield County, so we need more underwear because a lot of times the little kids they dirty their clothes and they need to soil their clothes and they need new underwear while they're at school. And so you're gonna get picked on because you don't have the clothes. The hygiene issue, deodorant, soaps, shampoo. In our resource aid program, we don't just take care of the kids with bringing them food, deodorant, soaps, shampoo, but we also give the parents household products, dishwashing liquid, laundry detergent, paper towels, toilet paper, stuff like that. And so when those kids get to have all those things that their peers have in school who not considered Title I, then you have a level playing field, and then you can eliminate some of those things on its own, like teasing certain kids. Because if you have brand new, Air Jordan sneakers or something like that, the child's not going to tease you because you have new Air Jordans. So we try to take that holistic approach, and we had our 6th anniversary 2 weeks ago. The myth is in the nonprofit sector is that the average nonprofit only lasts 3 years. Well, we're happy to say we made our 6th year 2 weeks ago. We have a lot of support, but we don't have enough. We have strong support in our events. We have an annual 5K every year. We have our 6th annual 5K coming up in June. We have our 4th annual golf tournament coming up in August. And we have those events. So we get strong support from people like, Genworth, Dominion Energy, Centera Healthcare, Bon Secours, places like that. But those are sponsorship opportunities. Anybody who's in the nonprofit sector can tell you that the individual donor is what drives a nonprofit. Grants don't come every day. Sponsorships don't come every day. They don't come every week. They don't come every month. But the individual donor is what drives a nonprofit. And so we try to build our base that way. We try to get the community involved and see what we're doing so that they can become, donors. And with our events, with the luncheon this weekend, we're going to have a call to action. So hopefully that the people come in who took the time to spend that afternoon with us in the luncheon, that will see the work that we're doing and be compelled to say we're going to become a donor. So we're doing a lot of things for a young organization. I just happened to have retired in 2020 from my job that I had of 39 years. And I was sort of like an independent contractor or self-employed. And I worked all over the United States. I worked overseas, Europe, Africa, different places like that. So I had a specific certain type of work ethic. So I know what it takes to run a business and run a successful business and sustain it. And so I just took that work ethic over into the nonprofit sector. And so I use those same principles, those same concepts and things in the nonprofit sector to try to make this organization a successful organization. This is our 6th year. I don't have a paid staff. It's myself, a president. I'm the executive director. I have a president. We have about 10 volunteers. We have a strong board. And I don't take a salary. This is our 6th year. I don't take a salary because I've been blessed enough to be able to continue to run this organization without taking one yet. Now, yeah, of course, I'm going to take a salary, maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, maybe the next 5 years, but I think I can make it up to 5 years if I need to. But we put all our money back into the organization, and we're trying to build it up that way. And we just do anything we can to take care of kids. We do a big thing for the kids every Thanksgiving, every Christmas. So this is not just a job for us. We actually like what we do. We love what we do. We adore taking care of children. And so, my wife, who was the president, she says all the time, we put in the long hours, and then we go into the schools, we go into some of the families' homes, and you see how those kids' faces light up. And you see the parents' faces light up when they know that you just come into the home and you provide them with household products and food and things like that will take them profit in the next couple of months. And then you get in your car and you go back to your office or go back to your home where you go, and the sense of peace come over you because you just saw what kind of impact you had on these kids who really need it, you know. And again, I worked overseas. I've worked in third world countries. You know, I've worked in South Africa, you know, with Procter and Gamble, you know, and I would go there every quarter for 30 days at a time. And I got a chance to see what poverty really looks like. You know, you go to South Africa and you go into places like Soweto, which is like about 12 miles outside of Johannesburg, which is where Mandela used to live. And you see how poor people are, and it just amazes you. And I think when I went there every month, 30 days at a time, I worked in downtown Johannesburg. If you ever seen Johannesburg or you've ever seen South Africa, you've seen the pictures of it, you know, it's a huge city. You could put New York City inside of Johannesburg 3 times. You know, they have high rises, just like any big city. But the thing that most fascinated me the most when I went there was after hours when I got a chance to go in the South, into Soweto, just to see the culture, to see how people live. And I was fascinated by the level of poverty, you know. And then so I come home, go back to work, and after a while you forget about it. But when I started a nonprofit, I never realized that we experience the same type of poverty right here in North America, right here in our own cities, you know. And so we've been trying to help these kids. So that's what compels us to do what we do. And then, you know, recently with the current administration, when they cut the SNAP benefits and the food stamps and stuff like that, and the Department of Immigration, you know, we have one school in the city where immigration set up a checkpoint 2 blocks away from the school. They're taking away families members from the kids. And so now we have our work has been lifted and heightened because not only now do we have to try to provide for some of those kids, but they have a single parent home there because the mother's the only one left and she wasn't working. So now there's no income coming in. So they're about to lose their home, their apartments, where they're going to live. And so Yasmin can speak to the homeless issue because now you have more kids now that's going to be living in hotels, living in their cars or whatnot like that. And so it's just so much that these kids need. And but sometimes it's kind of heartbreaking because you say to yourself, who wouldn't have the humanity to help kids? Who would not want to help kids? Who would not want to help children going through stuff like this? But with like any other occupation, it happens. Because when I started the organization in 2020, I said to myself, I said to my wife, I said to my family, I said, this is going to be the easiest job I ever had. Little did I know that couldn't be farther away from the truth because there is so much pushback because there are some people who don't want to work with you. And one thing I've learned, one component I take, and I end it right here. One thing I do take into the organization with my volunteers, what staff I do have, with my board of directors, and that is, you know, no matter what you do, somebody's going to have a problem with it. And so my philosophy is this: I don't know what the secret to success is, but the secret to failure is trying to please everybody. And so as long as I keep that mindset, I know that I can't please, I'm not going to please everybody. You know, I could get out the car in the middle of the street right now and run it and leave my car and park and run in the middle of the street in traffic and grab a little kid, a little toddler that's walking in traffic and swoop them up and protect them from getting hit. And there'll be 10, 15 people before we gotta have a problem with it. So that's just the nature of life. That's the world we live in, you know. And so you can't get sidetracked by it. You just got to stay focused. And so we put a lot into this. You know, most folks check out every day, clock out at 4:35 o'clock in the afternoon and go home. Unlike them, 4:35 o'clock, we just get our second wind because a lot of days lunch doesn't even occur until 3 o'clock, 3:30. And unfortunately and embarrassingly, sometimes our day ends at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. even, you know. But again, it's not just a job with us. We love what we do. And so sometimes you have to step back, take detox, take a break, take some PO time because you just burn out. But again, when you go back into the schools, you go back to the families' homes, a sense of peace come on because you know you made an impact. So that's where Hope for Learning is.
Awesome. I really appreciate you coming and telling us all about that. One of the things you mentioned was the fact that the need for students to have access to food and clothing and all of that does not stop when the school year stops.
Right.
So actually, back in June, we did a food drive specifically in June to try to help with the fact that people still need help. You know, everybody thinks of a food drive at the holidays, but these kids still need help. These families still need help over the summer.
Yeah.
And we also did a lunch and learn meeting about food insecurity in general. Um, One of the things, so being in Blacksburg, Virginia, all of our stats are wildly skewed by the fact that most people who live here are college students over at Tech or Radford. And so, you know, I think the average age in Montgomery County is like 23. Okay, well, it's not really, but because of all the college kids. Um, and because of all of that though, Blacksburg, it shows up as having just extremely high unemployment and extremely high food scarcity issues. But a lot of the money and stuff that you would think would come to an area like that doesn't, because the excuse is made that, oh, well, it's the college kids. So the people who are here who do need help, the rural families that are out here in, you know, the farmland around, aren't getting that help that they really do need because the college kids are skewing things.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting to see, you know, and Richmond is a very diverse area as well. So are there pockets within Richmond where, you know, not that there aren't always people who need help, but are there certainly schools that stand out that they need more help than others? And do you feel like they get the help that they need?
Yeah, I mean, every school is unique, you know, in their needs. You know, what I mean, um, you know, it's some schools just they need more food. Some schools may have a lot of partners, like some churches that's helping them, and they might not need as much. Then you have some schools, like I said, they need the underwear stuff, like they need the hygiene stuff. But all of them need food. All of the schools, all the Title I schools need it. And you know, but and you can have two or three different partners, but it still doesn't mean that all the need is met. You know, because so it's just that much poverty in the city, believe it or not, and in the counties, and you just you know just it's hard to wrap your mind around because it would just take it would take a village, you know, to just try to eradicate all that problem. And like I said, Yasmin can speak to the homeless piece of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because not only are they homeless, but if you're homeless, the chances are you don't have food either. Because if you're homeless, you don't have a refrigerator. You can't be homeless and walk around with a refrigerator. You can't be homeless walk around with a stove. So I mean, it's really out there. And but again, like you said in Blacksburg, you know, they try to put it on the fact that you have a lot of college students, but that's just an excuse. And so we have excuses here too. I mean, people, and it's all over the country. The things we put our money into, you know, we put our money into all other things, you know, buildings, um, you know, you would think that there wouldn't be a homeless problem in Richmond because if you get in your car and ride around town, everywhere that's a blank space, they're putting up apartments. So somebody's got to have somebody stay, but you don't have the money to stay. So, but I mean, they put money in apartments. They put money into sports arenas. They put money into casinos. They put money into, I mean, you name it. They put money into everything but where it needs to go. You know, technically speaking, we shouldn't have a poverty problem, much less a home, much less a food insecurity problem in the United States. When you think about how the kind of money we pay our professional athletes, our recording artists, our actors and actresses, the money these guys make, when you have that type of money running, when you pay a professional basketball player $100 million contract, when if you got $100 million to pay 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or 15, 20 different players, why is the teachers in the school not making any money? Why are the kids in dealing with poverty? So there's always excuses. Why is the movie theaters filled every weekend? Why is the park in the summertime filled with concert goers and stuff? Why is that? But there's a hunger problem, because we put our money where we want to put it in, but we don't, everybody's not a giver. Everybody's not into philanthropy. But I mean, and I don't have to be. I have one sister. It's just me and my sister. That's the only sibling I had. But I grew up with a 2-parent home, had everything I ever wanted my whole entire life, never wanted for anything. Sometimes I had an abundance, So I never experienced poverty. I never experienced, not having, the have-nots. So you would say, well, how did I get into this then? And I think my biggest, the biggest coercion of why I got into it was the stuff I saw overseas. And and then coming here, finding out that, when I started Organization 2020, I just thought we were going to try to help kids. I didn't have any clue that this is what's going on with the school. I didn't have an idea that kids were dealing with poverty here, or there were that many students that were dealing with food insecurity. I had no clue. But now that I do have a clue, it just makes you want to be involved even more. But it's so many different ways. We could do that. I mean, we see people. We have donors. And I don't take any of those donors for granted. Not one single one. The one who's paying the least every month to the one who's paying the most. I don't take them for granted. We could always use more. But I watch how people spend their money, and I mean, so it's just it's
That's frustrating, right? Yeah,
it is.
totally get that. But I think awareness is such a big part of this, right? And so important. I think so many people are just not aware of these problems. And so by spreading that awareness, it makes people more empathetic and maybe want to help just because they were, not aware of this information. Thank you so much, Mr. Capel. I just have to say, and again, well, not again, for the first time, my name is Yasmin Acevedo, and I'm the McKinney-Vento Support Specialist for Chesterfield County Public Schools. You might know this already, but the McKinney-Vento Act essentially removes the barriers that would prevent homeless students from enrolling, attending, and having full and equal opportunity to succeed in school. And I just have to say, even though we're able to have them enrolled in school, even when lacking important documents, just as such as birth certificates, vaccination records, all that would be required to normally enroll in school. We provide transportation if they have lost housing and are living somewhere else temporarily. We're able to meet some of the basic needs. Like Mr. Capel said, there's a lot of steps sometimes to providing this assistance, and that could take time. And it has been imperative to rely on partners and other agencies. So the way we tackle that is just by spreading awareness, just like today. I mean, Mr. Capel is one of the ones that if I were to send a message, an immediate need of food or clothing or any other need, they respond, whether they can or can't do it, they would respond. They've delivered food to us and helped us, cover these needs immediately, whereas we would have been able to do it in 1 or 2 days. because of this, we've also created resource closets in some of our schools. So again, every agency has their own mission, but I think to his point, we've been able to do so much more. I mean, we're going above and beyond what I should even do, what he should even do, just to provide the students and their families with what they should have access to and what they truly deserve. So we're super grateful for Hope for Learning and all of our other agencies that really respond when we need them to.
And I called
Yeah,
you.
thank
I
you.
called you, Yasmin, last Thursday, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, because we had some food that we need to get rid of, and I called your office, and they said they didn't have a family right on the moment that I could get it to, and it was fresh food. It was food that we had to get rid of it within 36 hours. It wasn't like the canned good stuff we get sometimes. But to what Kelly was saying a little while ago, we partner with a business here in the city. I won't call the name but we last week we went there. We were supposed to pick up every week, and someone at the business forgot that we were supposed to be there, and they threw away so much food. And then the next day, we go back over there and we pick up three huge heavy boxes of food, and they throw away food every day like that at some of these businesses. Not just this one I'm talking about, but I saw something on social media. Another different business had to throw away so much food, and most of these places, these food places in the city and restaurants and stuff, they normally don't carry stuff over the next day. They usually do fresh stuff, and if they don't have partnerships, they throw stuff away. And this particular company that we work with, believe it or not, we applied for a grant with them 3 or 4 different times in the past 12 to 18 months, and we kept getting either rejected or we just got ignored. And then when they finally decided to take us on, they put you through so much red tape and jump through so many hoops. And then when you go to the actual business, and then the first day you go in there and the manager says, okay, because the contract says that at the headquarters that we need you to pick up at least once a week. We walk into the building the very first time, and the manager says, is that the only day you can come? Because we have stuff all the time. So I'm saying, you got store. This is just one store. You had one store to tell us that the very first time. Why is the headquarters giving us such a hard time? We could have been doing this stuff 2 years ago. And that's how much food we throw away in this country. And you got people who don't have food to eat. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of food that gets wasted, whether it's in our own houses or a restaurant or a grocery store. I saw something the other day that France has made it illegal to just throw food out like that. If you have food that is still good, but you can't sell it anymore, you are required now to find a place to donate it or even just to hand it out at your store. You are required to do something with that food now and not just throw it away. So hopefully that'll help clear up some of the problem that they're having with that over there. But I thank both of you for coming out. We're going to go ahead and get wrapped up here real quick because it is getting a little bit late. We have one more piece of business to do. So on our odd numbered months, we plant a tree in honor of someone, whoever's name comes up. Can we see the wheel now, or am I not sharing the wheel?
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we will type everyone's names in here, and we have Leanne, and we have Charlie, and we have Francis, and I'm not going to put myself in there. So, okay, we will shuffle this, and we will see who gets a tree planted for them this time. And it's gonna be
No, keep going.
be friends. Look, it's the only fair way I know to do it, okay? Um, okay, well, perfect. So we will take care of that after the meeting. And
Thank you. And then I will connect with Jasmine to get more information regarding your organization that we can also put in our newsletter.
absolutely, yeah, that'd be
Um,
great. Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you, Chuck and Yasmin, especially for joining us. And I hope you guys all have a great night.
You too. Thanks for
Thank you
having me.
so much. You
Mm.
too.
Thank you.
You
Bye.
too.